Pierogi. Pierogi are filled dumplings made by wrapping unleavened dough around a savory or sweet filling and cooking in boiling water. They are often pan-fried before serving. Pierogi are associated with the cuisines of Central, Eastern, and Southeastern Europe, though they most likely originated in China and came to Europe in the Middle Ages. Pierogi are also popular in modern-day American and Canadian cuisine, where they are sometimes known under different local names. Typical fillings include potato, cheese, quark, sauerkraut, ground meat, edible mushrooms, and slash or fruits. Savory pierogi are often served with a topping of sour cream, fried onions, or both. Terminology. The English word pierogi comes from Polish pierogi, which is the plural form of pierog, a generic term for filled dumplings. It derives from Old East Slavic piru, and further from Proto-Slavic *pier, feast. While dumplings as such are found throughout Eurasia, the specific name pierogi, with its Proto-Slavic root and its cognates in the West and East Slavic languages, including Russian pirog, pie, and pirozhki, small pies, shows the name's common Slavic origins, antedating the modern nation-states and their standardized languages. In most of these languages, the word means pie. Among Ukrainians and the Ukrainian diaspora, they are known as vareniki. The word is the plural form of varenik, which derives from Ukrainian varvar, boiling liquid, indicating boiling as the primary cooking method for this kind of dumpling. The same term is used in the Mennonite community, sometimes spelled vareniki or werniki. Bryndzov piroi is the Slovak term for dumplings filled with sheep milk cheese. Koltunasi is the Romanian term for filled dumplings. It is derived from Greek kaltsouni, itself a borrowing from Italian calzone. Origins. While the origin of the pierogi is often under debate, the exact origin of the dish is unknown and unverifiable. Like other dumplings, they most likely originated in China and became widespread in Europe during the Middle Ages or later periods. It is believed that pierogi were popularized by Marco Polo's expeditions through the Silk Road, thus suggesting a connection to Mantu. Other sources theorize that in the 13th century, pierogi were brought by Saint Hyacinth of Poland from the Far East Asia via what was then the Kievan Rus. These became characteristic to Central and East European cuisines, where different varieties, preparation methods, ingredients, fillings were invented. Ingredients and preparation. Fillings. Pierogi may be stuffed singularly or in combinations with mashed potatoes, fried onions, quark or farmer cheese, cabbage, sauerkraut, meat, mushrooms, spinach, cheese, or other ingredients depending on the cook's preferences. Dessert versions of the dumpling can be stuffed with sweetened quark or with a fresh fruit filling such as cherry, strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, apple or plum. Stoned prunes are sometimes used, as well as jam. For more flavor, sour cream can be added to the dough mixture, and this tends to lighten the dough. Preparation. The dough, which is made by mixing flour and warm water, sometimes with an egg, is rolled flat and then cut into squares with a knife or circles using a cup or drinking glass. The dough can be made with some mashed potato, creating a smoother texture. Another variation, popular among Czechs and Slovaks, uses dough made of flour and curd with eggs, salt, and water. The filling is placed in the middle and the dough folded over to form a half circle or rectangle or triangle if the dough is cut squarely. The seams are pressed together to seal the pierogi so that the filling will remain inside when it is cooked. The pierogi are simmered until they float, drained, and then sometimes fried or baked in butter before serving or fried as leftovers. They can be served with melted butter or sour cream, or garnished with small pieces of fried bacon, onions, and mushrooms. Dessert varieties may be topped with apple sauce, jam, or vareniki. Countries. Poland. Traditionally considered peasant food, pierogi eventually gained popularity and spread throughout all social classes, including the nobility. Cookbooks from the 17th century describe how during that era the pierogi were considered a staple of the Polish diet, and each holiday had its own special kind of pierogi created. They have different shapes, fillings, and cooking methods. Important events like weddings had their own special type of pierogi kerniki baked pie filled with chicken. Also, pierogi were made especially for mornings or wakes and some for caroling season in January. Baked pierogi were a typical and the most popular Christmas dish for a long time, especially on the East area. They were stuffed with potatoes, cheese, cabbage, mushrooms, buckwheat, or millet. The most famous is the Bilgoraj pierogi stuffed with buckwheat, potatoes, and cheese, and then baked in the oven. Pierogi are an important part of Polish festive seasons, particularly Christmas Eve, Wigilia supper, and Christmastide. They are also served during public events, markets, or festivals in a variety of forms and tastes, ranging from sweet to salty and spicy. At the 2007 Pierogi Festival in Krakow, 30,000 pierogi were consumed daily. Polish pierogi are often filled with fresh quark, boiled and minced potatoes, and fried onions. This type is called in Polish pierogi ruski, which literally means Ruthenian pierogi. Other popular pierogi in Poland are filled with ground meat, mushrooms, and cabbage, or for dessert an assortment of fruits, berries, with strawberries or blueberries the most common. Sweet pierogi are usually served with sour cream mixed with sugar, and savory pierogi with bacon fat and bacon bits. Poles traditionally serve two types of pierogi for Christmas Eve supper. One kind is filled with sauerkraut and dried mushrooms. Another small uska filled only with dried wild mushrooms is served in clear barsks. Leni pierogi, lazy pierogi are a different type of food, similar to lazy vareniki, see below, kapitka or haluski. Ukraine. Vareniki in Ukraine are a popular national dish, served both as a common everyday meal and as a part of some traditional celebrations, such as Christmas Eve supper. Ukrainian. Esvayata vecheria or Esvayata vecheria, literally Holy Supper. In some regions in or bordering modern-day Western Ukraine, particularly in Carpathian Ruthenia and Galicia, the terms vareniki, pedihei, and pyroi are used to denote the same dish. The name of a popular type of Polish pierogi, Pierogi ruski, Ruthenian pierogi, is related to Rus, the historical region and naming of Eastern Slavs, and the ancient kingdom from which Ukrainians descend. Vareniki are considered by Ukrainians as one of their national dishes and plays a fundamental role in Ukrainian culture. Contrary to many other countries that share these dumplings, Ukrainians tended to use fermented milk products, Ukrainian kisel moloko or ryazhanka, to bind the dough together. However, today eggs tend to be used instead. Typical Ukrainian fillings for vareniki include cottage cheese, potato, boiled beans, mushy peas, cabbage, plum, currants, cherries, and other fruits, potato and cheese, meat, fish, and buckwheat. In Ukraine, vareniki are traditionally topped with sour cream, Ukrainian smetana, and butter, as well as with fried onions and fried pieces of bacon or pork fat, Ukrainian varki. Whilst traditionally savory, vareniki can also be served as a dessert by simply substituting the filling of the dumpling to a sweeter one. Dessert vareniki fillings include sour cherry, blueberries, sweet cottage cheese, and other fruits. The central regions of Ukraine are known for their more unusual vareniki, Poltava being known for its flour vareniki filling, in which the dumplings are filled with a mixture of flour. Vareniki are so beloved in Ukraine that a yearly festival commemorating them is held at the Ukrainian ski resort town of Bukovel in the Carpathian Mountains. In 2013, a snow monument to vareniki was made in Bukovel and was submitted to the Guinness Book of Records as the biggest snow varenik in the world. In Ukraine, vareniki are not just a national dish, but also played a symbolic and ritualistic role. Ukrainian ancestors equated vareniki with a young moon since they have a similar shape and used the dumplings as part of pagan and sacrificial rituals. For example, Cheese vareniki would be sacrificed near water springs, and years ago farmers also believed that vareniki helped bring a rich harvest, so they took homemade dumplings with them to the fields. German-speaking regions. The common term Pirog PL. Pierogan describes all kinds of Eastern European filled dumplings and buns including pierogi, pierogi and pirogs. Certain types of pierogin, both boiled and baked, were common fare for Germans living in Eastern Europe, and the Baltic are still prepared by their descendants living there and in Germany. In particular, baked pierogi are known as Kurland or Speckkuchen Kurland bacon/speck pies in the cuisine of Baltic Germans. Schlutzkrapfen closely resemble pierogi. They are common in Tyrol and northern Italy's German-speaking region of South Tyrol, and are occasionally found in Bavaria. Fillings may include meat or potatoes, but the most widespread filling is a combination of spinach and quark topfen or ricotta. Another similar Austrian dish known as Carinthian noodles is made with a wide range of fillings, from meat, mushrooms, potato or quark to apples, pears or mint. These regional specialties differ significantly from the most common Swabian-filled dumplings known as Maltaschen. Hungary. In Hungarian cuisine, the dereli is similar to pierogi, consisting of pasta pockets filled with jam, cottage cheese, or sometimes meat. Dereli is consumed primarily as a festive food for special occasions, such as weddings. It is also eaten for regular meals, but this tradition has become rare. Romania and Moldova. In Romania and Moldova, a similar recipe is called coltunasi, with regional varieties such as Pirosti in Transylvania and Bukovina regions and Kairost in Moldavia region. Coltunasi is often a dessert filled with jam, usually plum, fresh sour cherries or cottage cheese, or Savoury, filled with dill-seasoned cheese, telemia or urda, mashed potatoes or chopped meat. The dough is made with wheat flour and the coltunasi are boiled in salted water, pan-fried in oil or baked in the oven. The word is a cognate with Slavic kalduni, a type of dumplings. In both Bukovina and Transylvania, the name Pirosti is used in Romanian families of German or Slavic origin, and the filling can also be a whole, fresh, seedless plum. The term coltunas is used by native Romanian families and are usually filled with cottage cheese or quark and served topped with sour cream smantana, traditionally called coltunasi cu smantana. Russia. Vareniki are most often filled with potatoes, sometimes mixed with mushrooms, quark cheese, cabbage, beef, and berries. They can be topped with fried onions and bacon or butter and served with sour cream. This dish became especially popular in Russia during the Soviet period, when it became part of the menu of public catering and international Soviet cuisine. Pelmeni are significantly different. They are smaller, shaped differently and usually filled with ground meat, pork, lamb, beef, fish or mushrooms, as well as salt, pepper, and sometimes herbs and onions. Russian Mennonite cuisine. Due to centuries of close-knit community and mass migration from the Netherlands, northern Prussia, the Russian Empire, and the Americas, the Russian Mennonites developed a unique ethnicity and cuisine. In Russian Mennonite cuisine, the pierogi is more commonly called vareniki and almost always is stuffed with cottage cheese and served with a thick white cream gravy called schmontvat. Russian Mennonites will also stuff the vareniki with fruit such as Saskatoon berries or blueberries. It is often accompanied with farmer sausage form of borscht or ham. Mennonite-style vareniki is no longer common in Poland, Russia, or Ukraine, but is very common in the Canadian prairies, Chihuahua, Mexico, Paraguay, Bolivia, and other places where Russian Mennonites settled. Slovakia. A traditional dish in Slovak cuisine is brinzov pierogi, dumplings filled with salty brinza cheese mixed with mashed potatoes. Brinzov pierogi are served with some more brinza mixed with milk or sour cream, so it has a liquid consistency and serves as a dip and topped with bacon or fried onion. In Slovakia, pierogi are semicircular in shape. Along with brinzov haluski, Brinzov pierogi is one of Slovakia's national dishes. Slovenia. Ajovi crappy, literally buckwheat carps, are a dish popular in the northeastern and alpine regions of Slovenia. Made with buckwheat rather than wheat flour and filled with a mixture of cottage cheese, skuta, millet, and fried onions, they are traditionally topped with pork fat crisps, fried bacon or fried onion, but today often with butter bread crumbs. Along with sigansai and strukelji, they form a trio of buckwheat-based dishes typical of Slovenian cuisine. United States and Canada. Pierogi were brought to the United States and Canada by Central and Eastern European immigrants. They are particularly common in areas with large Polish or Ukrainian populations, such as Cleveland, Chicago, and New York City, along with its New Jersey suburbs. Pierogi were at first a family food among immigrants as well as being served in ethnic restaurants. The pierogi in America initially came from Cleveland, Ohio, when the first documented sale of pierogi was made at the Martin House Tavern in Cleveland in 1928. In the post-World War Roman II era, freshly cooked pierogi became a staple of fundraisers by ethnic churches. By the 1960s, pierogi were a common supermarket item in the frozen food aisles in many parts of the United States and Canada, and are still found in grocery stores today. Numerous towns with Central and Eastern European heritage celebrate the pierogi. The city of Whiting, Indiana, celebrates the food at its Pierogi Fest every July. Pierogis are also commonly associated with Cleveland, Ohio. In Cleveland, there are yearly events such as the Slavic Village Pierogi Dash and the Parma Run Walk for pierogis. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania also celebrates pierogi. There is a pierogi race at every home Pittsburgh Pirates baseball game. In the race, 6 runners wearing pierogi costumes race toward a finish line. In 1993, the village of Glendon, Alberta, erected a roadside tribute to this culinary creation. A 25-foot 7.6 fiberglass pierogi preferred local spelling, complete with fork. The United States has a substantial pierogi market because of its large Central and Eastern European immigrant populations. Unlike other countries with newer populations of European settlers, the modern pierogi is found in a wide selection of flavors throughout grocery stores in the United States. Many of these grocery brand pierogi contain non-traditional ingredients to appeal to American tastes, including spinach, jalapeno, and chicken. Pierogi enjoyed a brief popularity as a sports food when Paula Newby Fraser adopted them as her food of choice for the biking portion of the 1989 Hawaii Ironman triathlon. For more than a decade thereafter, Mrs. Teese, the largest American pierogi manufacturer, sponsored triathlons, some professional triathletes, and fun runs around the country. For many triathletes, pierogi represented an alternative to pasta as a way to boost their carbohydrate intakes. According to pierogi manufacturer Mrs. Teese, based in Shenandoah, Pennsylvania, pierogi consumption in the United States is largely concentrated in a geographical region dubbed the Pierogi Pocket, an area including New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Chicago, Detroit, parts of the northern Midwest, and southern New England. Canada has a large Polish population, as well as Ukrainian populations, and pierogi, known locally as pierogis, are common throughout the country. The Canadian market for pierogi is second only to that of the U.S. market, the latter having been the destination of choice for the majority of Central and Eastern European immigrants before and during World War Roman II. Packed frozen pierogi can be found wherever Central and Eastern European immigrant communities exist and are generally ubiquitous across Canada, even in typically frozen flavors include analogues of rusty pierogi filled with potato and either cheddar cheese, onion, bacon, cottage cheese, or mixed cheeses. Homemade versions are typically filled with either mashed potatoes seasoned with salt and pepper and often mixed with dry curd, cottage cheese, or cheddar cheese, sauerkraut, or fruit. These are then boiled and either served immediately, put in ovens and kept warm, or fried in oil or butter. Popular fruit varieties include strawberry, blueberry, and Saskatoon berry. Potato and cheese or sauerkraut versions are usually served with some or all the following: butter or oil, sour cream typical, fried onions, fried bacon or kielbasa sausage, and a creamy mushroom sauce less common. Some ethnic kitchens will deep fry pierogies. Dessert and main course dishes can be served this way. The frozen varieties are sometimes served casserole style with a mixture of chopped ham, onions, peppers, and cheddar cheese, or with an Italian-style mixture of ground beef, onions, and tomato sauce. National chain restaurants in Canada feature the dish or variations. Boston Pizza has a sandwich and a pizza flavored to taste like pierogies, while Smitty's serves lazy pierogi and lazy vareniki. Lazy vareniki Ukrainian, Midly lenivy vareniki Russian, lenivy vareniki in Ukrainian, and Russian cuisine or leni pyroi in Russian are gnocchi-shaped dumplings made by mixing damashny or curd cheese with egg and flour into quick dough. The cheese-based dough is formed into a long sausage about 2 cm thick, which is cut diagonally into gnocchi, called halushki in Ukrainian and Russian, galushki in Russian. The dumplings are then quickly boiled in salted water and served with sour cream or melted butter. The name lazy vareniki faithfully reflects the very quick preparation time of the dish. It usually takes 10 to 15 minutes from assembling the simple ingredients to serving the cooked dumplings. Lazy vareniki differ from standard vareniki in the same way that Italian gnocchi differ from ravioli or tortellini. These are fluffy solid dumplings, not stuffed pockets of dough. The same dish in Polish cuisine is called lazy pierogi Polish, leni pierogi. In culture, pierogi have their own patron saint, Święty Jacek Pierogami. Saint Hyacinth and his pierogi is an old Polish expression of surprise, roughly equivalent to the English language good grief or American holy smokes. The origin of this expression is unknown. In Ukrainian literature, vareniki appeared as a symbol of national identity, sometimes stressing its distinction from Russian. In the poem by Stepan Rudansky Vareniki Vareniki 1858, a Russian soldier asks a Ukrainian countrywoman to cook vareniki for him. However, he cannot think of the word vareniki, while the woman pretends not to understand him. The Great Pittsburgh Pierogi Race Enat, commonly called the Great Pierogi Race, is an American mascot race between innings during a Pittsburgh Pirates baseball game that features 6 contestants racing in giant pierogi costumes: potato Pete blue hat, jalapeno Hannah green hat, cheese Chester yellow hat, sauerkraut Sol red hat, Oliver monuments. A monument to Vareniki was inaugurated in Cherkasy, Ukraine in September 2006. The monument erected at the entrance to a hotel depicts Cossack Meme, a Ukrainian folklore hero, whose fondness for vareniki was narrated by Taras Shevchenko and Nikolai Gogol eating vareniki from an earthenware pot, with a huge crescent-shaped varenik behind him. A monument to Halushki was inaugurated in Poltava, Ukraine in 2006. In 1991, a giant pierogi on a fork was erected in the village of Glendon in Alberta, Canada. The statue is 7.6 meters, 25 feet tall. In January 2010, a pierogi statue was proposed to be erected in Minneapolis, Minnesota.